Lukas Colombo and Jacob Mann.
All right, yeah, so we're going to be taking a little break from Resolve and talking about Blackmagic production gear and live production, to be exact. I'm Lukas Colombo, like you said. I am a director, founder of Moai Films. This is Jacob Mann. He's a co-founder, director of Los Natives. And we're super excited to be here. Thanks, Blackmagic, and thanks for this awesome event. We will be sharing about Cirque du Soleil. It's an awesome recent production that we just did. We had a 10-camera live show for Mystere in Vegas. And so we really want to just walk you through it, walk you through the workflow. It's going to be a lot about the new products that Blackmagic announced in terms of broadcast solutions, switchers, a new broadcast camera. So we're going to jump into that. Before I go full into that, let me give you a little background on the kind of work that we do. Because it's interesting, we both have production companies in LA. We both were raised in Chile, South America. Anybody from South America here? You? I don't think so. But the cool thing is we have very different styles of production. We both focus in different areas. Jacob Mann is more of a live concert, live event, multicam, documentary style productions, where Moai Films, we focus a little more on scripted film, TV, commercial type work. So it's exciting when we get to merge those two styles, and that's the chance that we had to do here with Cirque du Soleil. So we're gonna jump right in and hand over to Jacob, and he'll give you a little bit more on what he has been up to with these cameras.
Oh boy, starting with this one. All right. So I never quite made it as the rock star. I was like 11 teen right there. But luckily the hip hop community was very kind and took me in. I've been able to work with some of the bigger hip hop artists, Andre 3000. That actually, the top corner, that's Dre Snoop, but that was on the Rolling Stone magazine's website. So I finally made it to the Rolling Stone. I'm like, Mom, I made it to the Rolling Stone magazine. Like the dark, fuzzy guy in the background over there. And good old Kanye. Enough about Kanye. He's on a good one right now. Anyhow, so I kind of just started as like a little punk skater kid. And I was in a very art and culture of arts and music growing up as a kid with my parents in South America. And I started shooting skate videos and started getting into shooting bands. This just feels so formal, like sitting at the table. So we started doing all those types of things, and it slowly kind of graduated into this stuff. And from shooting stuff, we began like over to direct some of the bigger festivals here in LA. At the Staples Center a lot, and all of the big festivals that come here. Now with children, I try not to tour quite as much, but it's been great. It's been a cool experience, and my complaint was always with these types of broadcast environment, it always looked very like video-ish. Like it kind of had like that soap opera look with the cameras that I was dealing with, and the limitations I had with being able to control the cameras with the more traditional, they call them like RCPs, the modulars to control my cameras. Everything looked very, very kind of designed from an engineer point of view, not from a creative point of view. So always trying to kind of push the boundaries and trying to figure out, okay, how can we make this look cool and create a cool audience experience and not have this video look. And that was always kind of the battle. And the crew would get really upset with me because I would try to do things in different ways. Some of the guys like, well, no, so we do it this way, this is traditional. And I'm like, well, I'm not traditional, let's try to do it this way. So Lukas kept bugging me about these, the Pocket, when the Pocket first came out. He's got to jump on the Pocket, like it's super cool, you know, he's telling me all about the Pocket and this and that. And I'm like, for my application, all the Pocket's gonna work. I saw the Pocket, saw what it can do.
That's a Blackmagic Pocket cinema camera, by the way. He
will correct me with all the proper terminology. I'm not that good at that part, but he'll QC me as we go on. So I started mounting Pockets all over the place. We put Pockets on drum sets, and that was, you know, kind of like the gateway drug to Blackmagic. And probably shouldn't use that term, but that's what it was. And I went Pocket crazy. We were flying Pockets, and And the crew was really upset with me because, like, here I got the pocket, and we're going HDMI adapter to SDI because the Switch only takes SDI. So it's this big mess of a thing to try to, like, shoot these events. Luckily, the URSA came out, and that was the savior all around. And we shoot a lot of off-road desert. We're going to the Baja 500 next week, and it's just been the best fit for us. And with the URSA, I was able to kind of get that look and feel and that style that I wanted, like that signature look, and why they call us and not other people. But the fact that I can control all the cameras from the switcher itself, and I can just saturate the hell out of it if I want to, and just give it all these crazy looks and effects, and create this really cool audience experience for the people watching, and kind of fall in line with what the lighting is doing, what audio is doing, and kind of create this whole atmosphere of a show. And at the same time, when Blackmagic came out with their, ready? Their ATEM television studio.
It's close enough.
That was awesome because it's pretty much, it's a really bad picture. It's all black, I apologize. But I just got from Brazil, and I put that in an SKB case with 2 HyperDeck Minis, and I brought 2 micros with me just in case, I didn't know what kind of gear I was going to get in Brazil from the local crew over there. And I had a full-on rock and roll switcher in my carry-on. And I had all my presets, all the stuff that I do, and we're creating cool content. And we're kind of giving this cool look, and there's continuity all around. So what my artist is seeing in LA, they're getting that same type of vibe in Brazil on a smaller scale. We're doing broadcast screens on iMac, a lot of LED walls. And the hip thing right now is, unfortunately, they're doing like LED walls, like portrait, like an iPhone, which is super annoying.
For the camera operators.
Yeah, because we're also doing a live webcast as well. So like the guys at home are looking at these shots like, these guys are drunk? Like, what are they shooting? Because we have to like overshoot everything because it's going portrait on the LED wall. So you got to find your happy medium. And then we also do ISO records, and they'll cut future stuff out of that later. So that was kind of my introduction with Blackmagic, being able to do something cool, something different with the tools that are available now. So I believe this is just kind of a quick glimpse of some of the stuff we do. This is all multicam environment. This is all straight line cut from switchers. Even the color you'll see, everything was done in camera, so you won't see a whole lot of stuff in post with this.
Give me a second, I'm trying to select the appropriate weapon. Watch where you stepping, them snakes all around, you know they connected. When I was a kid, my grandmama told me I can't go to heaven, so I stopped praying and asking for blessings and started preparing for my Armageddon. Got nothing to lose, I'm all in. Walking the edge, don't fall in. Enough of the lies, don't apologize, I don't understand. Are you foreign? This is the place, this is the site. Grab all your people and log in. I'm waiting, don't care how long it's gonna take. Watching and waiting for that first mistake. Don't come up missing. Don't get it twisted. I'm not Rihanna, but boy, you a gunner, you right on my hit list. Keeping my distance, just checking the listings. I'm always aware of your current position. I just hold out to the perfect condition. Coming alive. Heat of the night. Now is the time. Don't try to hide, 'cause I'm gonna hold you like an animal. I know you thought it was over. I know you thought it was finished. I know you think I'm a cynic, but you know this only business. People act different as soon as you win it, man. I know this ain't no different. You pull up in cars, you act like it's yours, but we know that just rent it. Benefit of the doubt, we the ones that your mommy wants. You about should have stayed in the house. Don't open your mouth. We lurk in the swamps like we in the south. So count your days. Hold up, let me count the ways you gon' pay. When I spot you, I'm coming straight through to your face, no foreplay. So don't come up missing. Don't get it twisted. I'm not Rihanna, but boy, you a gunner, you right on my hit list. Keeping my distance, just checking the listings. I'm always aware of your current position. I just hold out to the perfect condition. Coming alive. Heat of the night. Now is the time. Don't try to hide, 'cause I'm gonna hold you like an animal.
So even in the reel, you'll see stuff that looks from a few years ago, and there's other camera companies involved. I won't throw them straight to the bus, but some of the older Sony stuff that I used to use, that all we had available back then. It had like that video-ish look, and it was kind of harder to kind of get something cool out of it. And then as we evolved into what we have now, it's just been amazing what we're able to do. And kind of going back to that non-traditional thing, like sometimes like I'll be with Lucas and I'll tell the cameraman like, hey, you got a CFast card like in the camera right now? It's like, yeah. All right, like record in slow-mo, just play it back off the camera. We'll just cut that into the live feed, just to do something silly. So even the slow-mo stuff was all actually pushed back through the camera into the switch, just to kind of do something fun and different and make people ask questions on why we do that. But it's fun. So this was Air and Style. This happens in LA down by Exposition Park. And this was February-ish?
Right before Cirque.
Yeah, so this is a huge festival that Shaun White puts on, the snowboarder. And they do music and they do a full snowboarding competition. They build they bring snow to LA and build a ramp, and they build a full skate park and all this craziness just for, what, 2 days was it? 2 days. So this was kind of like our testing ground with the new Blackmagic broadcast cameras, the new switchers, everything. We had all the gear before our Cirque shoot. This festival popped up, so we're like, why not? Let's make this happen. And we had headliners. Phoenix was one of the headliners one night. Zed was another headliner. And we brought the gear on. And I can tell you, the gear handled the rain just fine. You know, we got rained on.
Yeah, it got rained on.
And it worked. It still worked for Cirque.
Yeah.
So we did that, and what was cool was this was like the first time we really pushed the new broadcast camera to see what it can do and what it's capable of. And we really pushed it really hard. And at the end of the festival, the main LD for Phoenix and the tour manager, they all kind of bum rushed us after the show. And I was a little nervous, like, oh man, I really blew this one, you know, like they usually want to talk to you when it's bad. And they said it was good. And they were so pumped on what they saw. They were so stoked on the look and feel. And so like, man, everything just looked like we were all one unit. We were part of the show. And we don't really get that in a festival setting. So that was just great news for us, a great compliment for us as a crew, and at the same time, a great compliment for Blackmagic. So that was kind of like our testing ground. And we have Connor's in the back somewhere. Connor's is Lucas's intern. And he put a little BTS video of what Air Style is all about. You can kind of see some of the craziness. When I'm switching, it's more of a call it and punch it type of thing. I'll just have the guys like, you know, even the camera crew we use, non-traditional. It's like, dude, find me cool stuff. Let's do some cool stuff. Let's put a cool show together. Like, I'm not going to be like telling you move to the left. Let's do a cool show, a cool experience. Let's have fun. And we pretty much go into an editor's mindset, and we're just punching left and right, calling and punching. And that's kind of like the look and feel that we've built that's worked for us. So here's the little video that Connor put together of Air Style. So that was like our first go with all the Blackmagic stuff. First go with the Simply Fiber, which was so nice because they're not running 2 SDI lines and trying to run power. Everything's just coming down one pipeline, and it was quite the light for us.
Yeah, and even in the rain, because that's one thing that fiber is really great at, and it was a test right away because it rained that whole weekend, and we had fiber and all the gear out, and it was no problem. So.
Every camera had an operator, static.
Every camera had an operator. We did tuck a couple of the micros up over the drum set. It's such a fun camera to just kind of stash away, and you have control of it, yeah. which is awesome. Like you could tuck it up in the truss system, run 2 lines down, and you have full color iris. There's certain points we'll go black and white on the screens, and be able to do that with every camera possible. It was really rad. So we always carry a couple micros in our toolbox per se, and bust that guy out. So anyhow, this was the first project I worked with Lukas. I've known him since we've been kids. It's the first time we collaborated. It was a multicam live kind of music video for an artist called Phil Wickham, and it had 50 million views on YouTube. It did really well. And after that, so it's just been kind of like a match where we're always collaborating one way or another. And he's going to kind of talk to you a little bit about himself and some of the things he's been up to.
Yeah.
Since you're running fiber, do you talk back to the camera?
Yeah, everything through the fiber.
Talkback?
Yeah, talkback as well.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we get to the actual Cirque details. This is kind of like the trials and how we got there, but we are running everything, talkback, tally, color control. And like you mentioned with the micro cinema cameras and the micro studio cameras, those guys are tiny and you can control every aspect of them from your laptop back in Video Village. So that's really cool. And like Jacob said, this is one of our first collaborations, and it's always been fun working together because he's, as you can tell, the more hyped guy. He wants to run on stage right now and go back to his rock star days of glory.
There was never a rock star days.
But yeah, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a taste of what I do and what we bring to the table so that you can have a good idea of how Cirque came about. So I'm going to go ahead and actually play something because visuals speak louder. cool note is over 95% of all that footage that you saw was captured on some sort of Blackmagic camera. So those are our recent productions, and Blackmagic cameras, primarily the URSA, but even going back to the original and the Pocket, like Jacob said, all have made their way into our recent productions, become the #1 really acquisition tool for us for content. Now, I have, as a director and cinematographer, I've shot with all kinds of different cameras and workflows, and going back to 16mm film, where I started, moving into the whole digital world, and with the whole DSLR craze went out, and then higher end digital cinema cameras, and we were on a particular brand of a high-end digital cinema camera that I'm sure we all know, but I won't name, and that was kind of what we were in. But it wasn't until this film that we had this wow experience, this wow moment where we decided that the URSA cameras were actually going to become the new tool of acquisition for us. This particular film, I've discussed in different talks in New York and in South America how the details of why we switched from one leading manufacturer to Blackmagic, and I'm happy to share those after, but just in a nutshell, the fact that the URSA 4K at that time, it wasn't even the new 4.6, the URSA 4K, had global shutter, so it could handle those muzzle flashes because we were shooting live blanks in this war film out in the desert in Barstow. All the camera shaking that we were doing in handheld environment, no rolling shutter, all that stuff just like was one of those moments. It had very few moments where it's just like, wow, this is a game changer. So from there on, we shot a series of films on that camera. Now that's a big boy. That's a better picture of it. But then the 4.6 sensor was coming out, and I remember the guys at Blackmagic sent over a beta camera to test it, and we tested it on this film in a real-world environment for a client where we were shooting up in Big Bear in the snow. And I don't know if you've ever shot in the snow, you know how crazy it can be in terms of contrast ratios, and you need something with really wide dynamic range. And this 4.6 sensor, this was another of those wow moments where we went from loving the 4K sensor from the URSA to now the 4.6K sensor in the URSA Mini, where it was mind-blowing because now we could see all the detail inside of the snow and still see all the detail in the dude's, the lead actor, right there in the shade, not blurring anything out. We still shot with both cameras to really test and see where the changes and the differences were. And so the close-ups on the top there were the URSA 4K. I decided to shoot all the close-ups with the 4K because it has a less dynamic range, ISO 400, and it would really actually clip out on any shots of the snow. And all the wide shots on the Ronin and the gimbal and all that were done with the 4.6. That kind of led to another collaboration where we were testing and creating a film for, I think it was one of the first films shot in the 4.6 we did for the Pirate's Tale in NAB. So that was exciting, where we shot a pirate film, and so that's kind of the evolution of using Blackmagic cameras. That brings us all the way to shooting for the first time, getting together with Jacob and saying, let's see how these URSA Minis do in a live production environment. This was a picture of a live concert event where it was outside. And this was, again, one of those mind-blowing moments for me because I don't do a whole lot of video work, but like Jacob said, he was struggling with the whole video look. And broadcast cameras, as you guys should know, they don't have great dynamic range. You're not going to be expecting to shoot with a broadcast camera and capture all the details and the highlights and the shadows, especially in an outdoor environment like this where you have a band on an outdoor stage being hit by the sun, or in this case it was shaded, and then the background was being hit by sun. And normal broadcast camera was just clipping that out, blowing out. It looked just like a white background. And on these cameras, we're like, well, they have great dynamic range. Let's flip them over to film mode, see what it looks like. And sure enough, all the detail came back. And then through the SDIs, we were able to color it inside the software and bring all the color back, all the saturation, all the contrast, and still see everything that's going on in the image. That was really cool. And we're like, these are definitely the cameras upgrade from Jacob's Pocket scenario to the URSAs for live production. And here you can see a bunch of SDI cables running from the jib. It's stuff that could be done. It just wasn't as streamlined as the new URSA Broadcast made it this year with the fiber, the announcement of the fiber backpack, fiber converter for the studio. So that's kind of bringing us now into Cirque, because this is this new technology that Blackmagic has provided. It's going to make it even easier for us to do this. So when the whole opportunity to shoot Cirque came up and to collaborate with Jacob and Rebel Studios, also Carlos, it was perfect because they announced these products like the month before we were getting ready to shoot, and we're like, this is ideal. If you guys go to Vegas, check out Mystere. It's the longest running show. Really awesome.
So, first off, fair warning, the slides might get a little corny coming up soon. I don't know why it went that direction, but I did. So, as you can see, like Cirque du Soleil, it's very theatrical. We had no control of any of the lighting whatsoever. The LD said, this is it, it's not changing, because all the artists and the acrobats are used to certain intensities and use different points of view so they know where they are in the air. So we couldn't turn anything down, turn anything up, so we had to work with whatever elements we had there. So there was no room to change anything whatsoever light-wise. Excuse me, I've been working out in the desert, so I'm a little hoarse. So I've been working with Cirque du Soleil for the past 5-6 years now, along with a colleague of mine, Carlos, with Rebel Studios. We've been shooting a lot of like online stories for them. We did like a YouTube show for them. We do a lot of their social media content, and we've been shooting on the Pockets, on the URSAs, and all of that. So they're used to a certain look and feel. This came up and said, hey, we want to shoot a multicam of the teeterboard act. So it worked out well that the broadcast camera came out. We were able to use that. But before that time period, this came up a couple times. Those are a little nervous, like, well, what are we going to use? How are we going to make it look right? This and that. Now that we have the URSA Broadcast, that's the direction we went in. And it worked so well because the guys we had on the crew, a lot of those guys shoot Cirque already, and they're already familiar with Blackmagic products. And some of the guys don't even have like a broadcast background, but they're used of that camera and they know the act. And
take it easy.
I know, it's just, and so anyhow, it was time to get the show on the road. So it was very, I forgot about this slide. That's Carlos, the Rebel Studios. He's the guy that I partnered. He was last minute. I don't know. He's the guy that I partner up with, and we do a lot of the Cirque du Soleil stuff at Rebel Studios on Instagram. If you want to look it up. Great guy. He actually plays drums in Cirque. He's the guy right there in the center, banging away on the taiko drum. So he's a badass. So our day was very Ocean's 11. I told you it was gonna get bad. It was very Ocean's 11, and we got an Airbnb house in Vegas, and all the crew kind of rendezvoused there, and we prepped as much as we could at the Airbnb house, and we had all the gear out. It was kind of like Christmas. Like all these guys have showed up for the first time, seeing these new cameras. We're building them, and I was a little nervous. Like, how's this gonna go? Are the guys gonna be okay going with this type of direction? And everything went really well. It was kind of creepy for the neighbors because like the garage door would open and they would just see like Breaking Bad of video equipment, and then guys would come in and the garage door would close, and I was like up and down like the whole time. So I think some of the neighbors were a little weirded out, but we got through it, and we built all the cameras, prepped everything. We had Fujinon lenses, and we were getting ready to rock and roll. I forgot the music. Sorry, we'll skip that. Then we stopped at In-N-Out, got a burger, and did our final powwow. Talked there, got everything kind of ready to go, got the guys ready, because we only really had 90 minutes to load in. We had 90 minutes to build all our cameras, build a video village, because there's 2 shows happening every night there. And so we had to get in and out. That wasn't intentional. So those guys, they worked their asses off. Like, we got there quick, and we had 90 minutes to load in and load out. And they made it happen. We had 2 cameras at front of house with long lenses. We had a jib towards the back, and we had a Dana dolly. We had a guy on a Ronin with a Teradek, and then we had an array of micros across the front. Some of the shots you saw, even like when the guy with the big belly kind of like peeks in, that got picked up of one of the micros that we happened to put up. And we're always stashing those on every show because you never know what you're going to get with them. And we just kind of dove into it. And let me tell you, it was so nice having to only run one fiber line to each camera instead of running multiple lines and worrying about power and everything else. Like, it was so streamlined in that area. So we got our video village built. We got the new ATEM advanced panel. That was a good photo. And
everything was live, yeah.
Yeah, we did a live line cut. Yeah, you saw the line cut. Okay. And then we did run ISO records as well. We did a line cut, and everything was done in 4K, which was nice. We did all our back recorders in 4K, and we did a straight line cut. And so Lukas is over there doing his thing. He was coloring, and the cool part was he's set up like he's almost set up in his edit bay at home. Like, it looked like a colorist edit bay. He had his DaVinci panel out. That's what he used to color with, and it looked like a real edit bay. So the whole environment was very comfortable for everybody because we all had our creative workplace. Like, it felt a very creative environment. It didn't feel like this architectural engineering thing that we're kind of used to in the broadcast world. It felt very, very comfortable to be able to do what we do.
Were you guys able to do a camera test the night before for exposure and stuff?
Yeah, no, we tested whatever cameras we could in the garage, and then once we got in there, it was just rock and roll. We were able to kind of get cameras up so we look like find a happy white balance and kind of do those types of things, but we were just down to the wire. Like the jib got built, everything got built within those 90 minutes.
90 minutes. That's a whole video village that you see there. That's 10 cameras. That's a jib. That's a dolly. That's mounted cameras all over the stage. Then going back and making sure that we have control over all the cameras. And in fact, we had 2 takes of this thing.
Yeah.
Because they had to go quick. And the first take, we were still dialing in. We were still, because we had to go. So go, okay, go. And we're dialing in the color and changing exposure on different things. And we can control all the micros from the computer. So that's really cool.
You were handling the exposure for all cameras or just the micros?
No, he had all cameras. So he was coloring iris. Yeah.
When you're doing the micro cameras, did you do lens control on it? What lenses did you use? Because one of the problems that we have with Blackmagic, I mean, they're great cameras, but it's limited on what lenses you can control from the control room.
Well, I think as long as depending how you're using a tool, like the cool thing about the micro is you can control your iris and everything else if you have an MFT lens. Like
you need the electronic Lumix.
Yes, yeah.
You want a Lumix or Olympus, one of those. If you want full control from the back, and that's what we used. Obviously, MFT, you can mount any lens you want. You can mount one of those huge Fujinon suckers on there, but I just can't control it from the back. Another question?
Yeah. Did you even have an idea of what the choreography was? Did you even see a video prior to going to do this?
Look, yeah, luckily we've shot this show several times, so we kind of had an idea of the flow and how it was going to kind of go. The camera guys had no idea. Yeah, the guys that should have seen it had no idea. So so this time it wasn't a call it and punch it. There was more direction involved. You know, kind of giving everybody a heads up what's going to happen next. This is where we're going. So there was a lot of communication through the talkback system that was running through the fiber, which was really nice. And we're actually even able to run a program audio signal to their headset so they can actually hear what's happening as well, which is a great feature as well. So yeah, everything was as streamlined as possible, but there's still a lot of the unknown of what was going to happen, what was it going to look like. And I feel like the biggest battle and he had to deal with was just lighting, because sometimes it's blown out like crazy. And you see him, tweaking his faders and kind of getting them back up and this and that.
Yeah, the one thing you'll notice is in the difference between the URSA cameras and the micro cameras is a little bit of difference in dynamic range, where the micros don't have that full dynamic range. So you may have seen some of the like the backlights clipping or something like that, because they don't have that full. They make up for it with how cool they are and where you can mount them. But yeah, we don't have a whole lot of time, so we're going to jump into a little more of the technical pieces that we actually used.
So yeah, so I kind of touched on it briefly, but we did use the new ATEM advanced control panel and the 4ME switcher. The new panel, like the buttons kind of dip in a little bit, so I got kind of clumsy fingers sometimes, and I'm just like getting carried away, and like I'll be the guy that goes to black by accident. Now with the new buttons, like everything fits really well. The control of it's really well. Even the user interface now. You know, I did struggle early on with trying to figure out IP addresses with previous versions. You know, I actually had to like think. So, but now you can do everything from the switcher itself, and the user interface is so much easier to assign all your IP addresses, and to be able to like assign another substation for color control and all of that. Everything you can do within, and you have two Ethernet ports on the back of the panel now, which is kind of nice as well. If you don't want to use the router, the switch. Thank you. And we used the new I'm used to use the word CCU, but we used the new studio converter boxes and the fiber.
The camera fiber converters and the studio fiber converters. That's what you need for the fiber, yeah.
The cool thing about these guys, and kind of fast forward from this shoot, like we've had a couple of live festivals as well, that you could put these guys on your Mini Pros. And for like the handheld shots, like if I got guys down in the pit and I want some cool stuff and they'll have more dynamic range and kind of get some more depth of field, I'll use these guys in the pit with the Mini Pro, and I'll throw an EF lens on there just to kind of give it more of a flavor, and it's awesome. Like what you're able to do with that. You have a good operator. Like the focus is not as forgiving as having your broadcast camera, but it's really nice to be able to build out the cameras for the different tasks at hand, and then having the LCD. And the way I'm building my video flight pack is I'm kind of flipping these, so when you go to the back of your rack and you're putting your fiber in, it's all going to be faced on the back side, which will be nice when I'm tracing like signal. A lot of times, like a guy will run, you're running 12 cameras and they won't label it, especially like you work in a union house and you have to use a union guy and you can't run your own cables and they don't label it. Having the LCD in the back is super helpful to be able to troubleshoot it. And everything just worked really clean, really nice. And once it's rigged, like it's a broadcast camera. It's not trying to make it look like a broadcast camera. Like it's a broadcast camera. It ergonomically feels like a broadcast camera, and it's durable. Like what we put these guys through, like they hang in there, and we pushed them pretty hard, and we had no issues whatsoever.
Not as hard as that guy, though.
That guy's hard.
That guy makes me feel bad about myself.
He probably has like the best Tinder profile picture.
Yeah. I don't know who you guys have doing your marketing pictures, but keep them.
Okay.
So Jacob spent a lot of time on this cheeseburger, so I don't have a lot of time for the cameras. But you can see briefly here, here's a picture of me setting up one of the micros using a video assist, also from Blackmagic, a 4K video assist. And then we have our Dana Dolly with our broadcast camera on the left there. Jacob went through a lot of the configurations of the different cameras, but I want to touch on this new URSA Broadcast Camera because it's a camera that people have been asking for forever. I've traveled around and everyone's always asked about this, and this finally here, it's a 4K 2/3 inch sensor, which allows you to use B4 lenses and get 4K resolution on that. And so many people have B4 lenses from all their other cameras, so be able to use them with Blackmagic and have that reach and still have 4K. That's a huge deal, so it's a big answer there. Some of the awesome highlights real quick are the fact that you can actually put any lens onto this thing basically. You can change the lens mount in 4 minutes, 4 screws. You can go to Canon glass, PL, Cine glass, B4. We used a lot of PL glass on the Cirque shoot with the Fujinon. They sponsored us with some beautiful 4K glass. but you can throw any glass on there. And like Jacob said, it's made perfectly, like a lot of thought went into it. All the buttons are on the right place. You can literally control all of it from the outside. The buttons are right there, your ISO, your shutter, your white balance. You got ND filters in there. The menu system is one of the most intuitive menu systems, in fact, the most of any camera I've ever used. You can get to your settings extremely fast. It's so flexible in terms of recording media, dual SD cards, dual CFast cards. You can even go straight to SSDs with an extra module that you attach to the back. So just complete versatility, and it allows you to be able to either shoot films and cinematic stories like I do, or live events with multicams with fibers like Jacob does, and you just only need that same one camera, which is incredible. Especially if you're running a production company and you need to own your gear, this is a no-brainer. It does it all. A little bit more of, yeah, you can see some of the lenses, Fujinon, the jib right there. And the last thing to touch on is just the fact that we could control everything from the cameras. Through the ATEM software control, we controlled all the color, the ISO, the gain, shutter speed, all that stuff right from there, using the DaVinci panel. Now there's a new product coming out. That's the DaVinci panel we use, but there's a new product coming out, the ATEM camera control panel, which is made for this so that you have full controls and buttons for everything. You don't have to mess with a software on your laptop and a mouse. You can actually have physical buttons for everything, and you can click and see what camera you're trying to change, color it, do anything you want to it, go to the next camera. So that's coming out soon, and we're excited to hopefully use that when it comes out. I will just wrap it up with this final piece just to give you.
So it's D-Day. We show at the theater, a couple trucks, all the gear's loaded, rockstar crew, and we load in. My name is Jacob Mann. I am a video director, really specializing more so in multicam and live events.
Welcome to Mystere by Cirque du Soleil.
Mystere by Cirque du Soleil is a high-impact acrobatic show. The visuals are amazing, the music is beautiful, and the athleticism is out of this world.
Having already shot multiple scripted TV series and films on Blackmagic URSA Mini Pro, I knew that these cameras would perform flawlessly on this live 10-camera Cirque du Soleil production.
Cirque du Soleil is romantic. There's a romance to it. And now with the Blackmagic URSA and the broadcast edition, we are able to do a broadcast environment, but not sacrificing the look and feel, that cinematic vibe that the artists are looking for.
The new advanced video mode in the URSA Broadcast Camera gave us beautiful colors straight out of the box. We were able to use a traditional 2/3 inch sensor with B4 lens mounts for our operators to be able to reach and hold those tight shots and follow the acrobats and really track this energy that Cirque du Soleil performers are giving us.
The challenge for us was to put our viewers right in the heart of the action, and having a full 4K production made it much more exciting.
We shot 800 ISO all around and primarily used Fujinon's new 4K glass, which was a great pairing on these wide dynamic range cameras.
We set up a 20-foot jib. We do 2 cameras up front of house with long lenses. We have a Dana Dolly in the front, a micro with a Ronin, a micro array in the front of 5 cameras. We have 10 plus cameras, plus Video Village. And we did an hour and a half, which is record time. We were up and running hour and a half. That's how streamlined the Blackmagic products are. We used the new ATEM 180 Advanced panel, which was great. It responded so well. We had the new 4ME. We had our 5 hyperdecks and 5 mini hyperdecks, and we were able to do ISO records on everybody, plus our program records. Put the fiber converter on. We have full control of color. We have tally control, talkback control, and we have our signal flow going back and forth. And everything just works so well together. It's like a master suite.
One of the things that blew me away was how easy it was to color grade and color match all these cameras inside of the ATEM camera control software. It was pretty fun actually to be tweaking and changing colors while I'm looking over and Jacob's cutting his camera, so it's actually really neat.
Lukas is engineering cameras right next to me, and he's actually a colorist. It's not these little RCPs that he's trying to go through. He's actually creating art with a beautiful screen in front of him. And we start cutting, we get into it, and the excitement of just the Cirque employees, even some of the athletes that were taking a break just to watch, they were so pumped and so stoked to be able to see their art
represented properly.
It really was a blast to be able to shoot such an incredible show for Cirque du Soleil and to implement Blackmagic Design's new broadcast solutions on such an epic stage. So that gives you a good recap. We're totally out of time, but